I'm very, very grateful. I'm grateful that my book has been so well received. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for my friendship with Erich. And a lot of you know I've been battling breast cancer for 7 years, and 7 months ago I had a brain tumor. But I'm okay, and I'm here, and
You say it so casually at this point.
well, I mean, now I'm legally allowed to sing if I only had a brain.
When Clint was going to do it,
And
yeah.
he was going to direct the remake with Beyonce.
Yes.
And I've had these 700 photographs for a long time. Now, they're not all in the book.
You need a cat to carry his photo, by the way.
And so I thought to myself, I'd like to share them with the public. And so I read about Clint doing this film, and I thought, what a perfect time. So I called my agent, and I said, look, I've got these incredible photographs. And he said, sounds like a really good idea. And then their movie fell apart, and so did my book. And I thought, okay, just wait. And I waited, and then they announced Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, and I hope all of you have seen the new version. Because it is sensational. I loved it. I really, really did. I know that they shot for a couple of weeks down near where I live in Rancho Mirage. They shot at Coachella. And I really thought to myself, she's so special, and she's been incredibly generous to me. And so has Bradley Cooper. And I thought to myself, I'm so thrilled when I went to the Shrine Auditorium a few weeks ago for the premiere. And it was eerie. I'm not going to say it wasn't. Just sit in those seats. And they were so generous and so lovely to me, and I loved it. And so I timed this book to come out with this version, because they have taken the story and moved it to another generation, or maybe two. And I thought to myself, I love the fact that they have taken a story that started in 1932 with a film called What Price Hollywood. And so this story has now been told now for almost 87 years. So that's why I wanted people to know that A Star is Born, this new one, will be number 5.
I kept thinking that all of these kind of music icons have shown up either on Broadway, or now we saw the Queen movie open this week in Bohemian Rhapsody. And yet, other than Judy Davis, who did such an incredible performance in Me and My Shadow, they can't seem to get your mother right when anyone wants to do some kind of piece about her, or recreate a moment from her life. And I remember reading a script, someone wanted me to audition for some movie that was her in a hospital, or something like that, these crazy things. What is it from your perspective that it never works? Why does it never work, and it sometimes works for other artists?
I think Me and My Shadows did work.
That's what I'm saying, other than Judy Davis. Yes,
Judy
absolutely.
Davis and Tammy Blanchard. I think that did work because we told the whole story from A to Z. We just didn't start in the middle until R. And I think when you do that, it's a disservice to my family, and I'm very, very protective. I think that her growing up with all of us, from all of the Andy Hardy films, and because we felt that we knew her, and that we felt that, yes, she had ups and downs and all of that, but she was human. And to know that she packed in to a short life incredible films and iconic recordings and all of that, that the only thing that we should be able to do is just say thank you. And that's how, and when people go to recreate her and all of that, I think it's, I think it, I want to say, well, nice try, but maybe not. And I just don't think that anybody, because they didn't live it, but I do have to say one thing. I went to the Halloween parade down in Greenwich Village the other night, and it was, I had the best time. I really did. And it reminded me that when my son was 8 years old, all right, and we wanted to go to the Halloween parade in West Hollywood. And my husband said, I think you better have that talk with him. And I said, oh yeah, that talk. So I said, you know, Jess, we're going to the Halloween parade in West Hollywood tonight. And I just want you to know that we may see, and he said, people dressed up as members of our family. I said, you'll be fine. So I'm good with it all.
Film that got away. Well,
I think because you've just all seen the film, there's stills in the film, and a lot of people who don't know the story, sort of, I've seen them watch the film, and they sort of look like an RCA dog. They do that because they don't know the story. The movie came out and ran in theaters for 2 weeks, and then Jack Warner got a call from I guess the money guys in New York, and said it's too long and we need to cut this film. So they took it back, and George Cukor was already on another film. And they cut up this movie, and they not only cut it up without the sort of artistic work of Mr. Cukor, they never asked my mom and my dad what they thought. They just went and they said, we own it, we're cutting it up. But they also sent it to projectionists, okay, with scissors, practically, and notes where to cut it up. And they threw the film away. So it really is, it's tragic, because, you know, we've seen people like Steven Spielberg who have restored film, which is so important and so vital. But I don't think we will. I've come to the conclusion at the age of 65 that I will never see the uncut version of my mom and my dad's movie, because I don't think it exists. And I've been down the garden path with a lot of people who are lovely lunatics who keep saying, oh, I have it. I have it under the bed. My father was a projectionist. I've got it. Really? And I mean, I've rented screening rooms. I have been down.
So you've shown up to places where you say, well, watch, we're going to show you we have it?
Listen, there was a guy, the story's in the book, there was a guy who swore he had it, because his uncle worked in a projection, whatever, and he said, but I can only call you if you hang out on the corner of 72nd and Central Park West, and I'll call you on the phone book. And I said, what, the phone booth? Oh, okay. And Rex Reed and I went to a phone booth, and we literally would wait for this lunatic to call us, and he would call and say, oh, I haven't. And we'd say, well, you're going to put me in jail. No, we're not going to put you in jail. We just want to see it. Well, you're going to call the FBI. No, we're not going to call the FBI. We're not going to call anybody. We just want to see it. He said, okay. Rex rented a screening room, and it was Rex Reed, myself, and Kay Thompson. And we thought, oh, we're here, we're going to see this. We're going to finally see this uncut version. And we got the cans of film, and it said A Star Is Born, and we ordered champagne, and Kay got caviar, and we sat down, and it was the movie of good news. Without the French scene. So, I thought, and Kay, I just remember Kay, who was she was such a brilliant, you know, she had such a wit. She said, well, we've been had. Yeah, we have been had. But I mean, things like that. And so now I know. And Warner Brothers, trust me, they have gotten calls over the years from people who say, oh, I have it. And no, you don't.
Is this movie somehow responsible for the restoration of film, or taking care of film? Do people look at this as some kind of reference point, like, let's have that again? Was this some of the 1983 version, did that have something to do with the restoration of film or anything like that?
I think that because it was such a shock that happened, and it went through the stories in the industry, and
right.
People have always asked me, did I think that it cost my mom the Oscar? Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. I felt that because the only people that were able to see the movie were the people at the premiere. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen the footage of the Hollywood premiere of A Star Is Born, which is just extraordinary. I mean, everybody who had anything to do as far as star quality showed up at that premiere. And there are some shots where people have said, your mom looks a little bit like a deer in the headlights. Well, I would too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just extraordinary, this incredible premiere. Those people sitting there at the Pantages that night, they saw the uncut version. And the people who saw it for the first 2 weeks. And that's it. So I think that when they cut it up, it didn't make sense, because when I guess I must have been about 18, and I watched it for the very first time on television. I was all by myself. I was living in New York, and I watched it, and I thought, this movie doesn't make a lot of sense, but I know the furniture, because I grew up on the furniture. Now, there was a story.
This is in the book. This is one of my favorite stories.
There was a story for many, many years that Jack Warner was so angry at my father, and my father was so angry at Jack Warner, that my father stole the furniture from the beach house. Well, he didn't actually steal it. He paid for it, sort of, in a sort of 10 cents on the dollar. But I grew up on the white seats and the lampshade on her head. I grew up with all of that, and I thought, this is very odd to watch this film, and I grew up on the furniture. And then my darling friend John Fricke, who is here tonight, I said, what happened? There was a lawsuit and a thing, but my dad did not steal the furniture. So I wanted to put that rumor to sleep. But it was so much of a part of my growing up.
Right.
And I was 2 when they were making the film. There's pictures of me.
There's great photos of you in the book. There's a contact sheet of you in your mother's arms on the set of...
And playing with George Cukor.
Right.
Doing all, yeah. Don't ask me if I remember it.
No.
I'm so grateful that I was able to share that, so to know that I was a very, very small part of the history of this incredible film. So that's what I wanted the book to be about. I wanted the book to be about, first of all, why has this story been told? Why do they keep remaking it? And I think it's because, and this is just my opinion, I think it's because it's not a movie about Hollywood. It's a movie about human nature. And it's a movie about, we all can relate to watching someone's star rise and watching someone's star decline. And we all can relate to love and loss and tragedy and addiction. And at the end, it's about triumph. And that's why I think that they keep telling this story. And they just keep putting it in different modes of the time period.
Right.
But that's what I wanted to sort of explain to people, that this isn't, yes, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, that's their film. And there's been a part of me that I have to say for quite a number of years that I do sort of get a pang, if you want to say, in my heart, that when Barbara and Chris Christopherson went out to make the
76.
That version in 78.
8.
They got to make the film they wanted to.
Right.
And Gaga and Cooper got to make the film they wanted to, and my mom never did. And that's when I think to myself, oh, that's sort of sad.
But how does it age on you? What do you see each time? As you've grown with it, what do you get from it?
I just get, what I found to be so, I guess, satisfying and heartwarming and emotionally satisfying was taking my children to see it.
Mm.
I have my children now are old, and I have 3 grandchildren.
Oh my goodness.
So they, it's a lot. They're 2, 2, and 4, and they call my mom Triple G. They call me Gigi, and they call her Triple G. And I can't wait to take them to see it. But going to the Turner Classic Movie opening night festival when they restored the restored version.
Yeah.
And watching my children just watch this, and my daughter, and I talk about this in the book, leaning over and said, "Mom, she did so much." And I said, "I know." And she said, "This is amazing. My grandmother was amazing." I said, yeah. She really was. And that's what gives me joy, is when young people see this. And because it is, you know, yes, the Frederick March, you know, Janet Gaynor version was extraordinary also, and she was lovely in the film, and she was great. But I just think that this version has so much heart, and you buy. Let's just discuss one person also. Let's discuss James Mason. I mean, really, he was extraordinary, and you never ever would have thought that he wasn't the first choice. And in the book, I talk about that my mom and my dad wanted Cary Grant for a really long time, and there were major dinners and golf games and racetracks and all of that. And finally, when Cary just said, "I can't do that. I can't play this character. I can't see myself," and neither could his agent, being an alcoholic, downtrodden star, that I can't do that. And I do remember my father telling me that my mother said, "Can we get the dinners back?" You know, and now when you see this, you can't imagine anyone else but James Mason.
Right.
And his grandson, whose mother is the great Belinda Carlisle, James Duke Mason and I are very good friends, and so we consider this our home movie. So I just think that he was just so incredible. He will always be Norman Maine, and I'm grateful that I was an adult and got to know him, because he was a really, really wonderful and a good friend to my family.